Que bueno, mi gente. Calix Boxing here. Errol Spence Jr. versus Chris Algieri, the post fight. And, I set up the fight a couple nights ago here on the channel, saying that Chris Algieri was a perfect stepping stone opponent for Errol Spence Jr. because I felt that it would go rounds and Chris and Errol Spence would get that experience, and it was a type of style where he wouldn't be in danger because Chris Algieri doesn't have punching power. But I did expect the fight to go rounds, and it didn't, and that's impressive. Errol Spence Jr., for him to totally not only outclass Algieri, who has been in there with guys, and for a guy who went 12 with Pacquiao, a Pacquiao who no longer has a killer instinct, let's be honest, but he still went 12 with Pacquiao after being knocked down how many times in that fight, and went rounds with Khan, and went rounds with a guy like Provodnikov, who punches like a mule, who's like a freight train out of hell, and to go rounds with him and win the fight. This is a good opponent. Algieri is a decent opponent, and a perfect, like I said, stepping stone opponent to gauge where a guy is. Is he hype? Is he not hype? Is he the real deal? Is he promising? And he is promising. All right, and I said it in the pre-fight video. This guy Spence, he's been in there. He's been a pro, what, 3.5 years. And to be at this point after 3.5 years, that's really what should happen, but it's not what happens in today's boxing. I mean, you look at a guy like Deontay Wilder, who's been a pro 7 years before he finally stepped up. A guy like Gary Russell Jr., who was a pro for a long time before he finally stepped up. They take their time with these guys who went to the Olympics and had all this amateur experience. But this guy, Errol Spence, 20 fights in now. In 3.5 years, he fought, what, 4 times in 2015, and they've kept him busy. They've kept him busy, and to step him up at this point against an Algieri, and for him to call out Kell Brook. Usually these guys with Al Heyman, they'll say, "Hey, I got to talk to Al Heyman." After, no, he said, "I'm Kell Brook's mandatory. Give him to me. Give him to me." So. And from what I'm hearing, he even said he'd go over there. So whether Al Heyman does that or not, we'll see. But there's not too many guys who will be wanting to fight Errol Spence Jr. I can tell you that. A southpaw with some pop, who is fundamentally sound. He does not waste any movement in there. All right, he's in there. His hands are up. He's tight and not easy to hit. So it seems there's not going to be guys hurrying to the front of the line to get in line to fight Errol Spence Jr. It's not going to happen, and I'm more impressed with him already than I am with a Keith Thurman. Got to be honest. This guy has his ceiling is very high, very high, and I'm not going to go overboard in his first step up with Algieri, but very promising. Very promising. The power was there. When he digs in with his right shoulder and then throws that left hand, and you could tell he studies tape, because he was talking after the fight about how he watched film of Algieri against Pacquiao and Khan, and how he ducked and came back up while he was still looking down. He was looking for that, and he seems to have a good head on his shoulder, so it all seems to be there. And this division is going to heat up with him now entering the top 10. It's another shark that's entering the top 10. And a lot of these guys in the top 10 have been taking steps back, in my opinion. Like the Danny Garcias, like the Keith Thurmans, guys who haven't really been testing themselves. And Keith Thurman will in June against Sean Porter. But this guy, he's got smoke coming out of his ears entering the top 10. And he wants it. All right, so it seems. So people better watch out for Errol Spence Jr. Better watch out. Just a very good performance, solid performance to knock out Algieri like that. And maybe it's an accumulation of punches that Algieri's been taking that has been wearing him down, and his chin is a little softer. I don't know, but to me, this is still impressive. That guy's got a hell of a chin. So to stop him in the fifth round, It's impressive. So, what y'all think about Errol Spence Jr. and who would you like to see him fight next? Spence versus um, Kell Brook. That's an excellent fight. Obviously, like I said, I'll hold my breath. I don't think it's happening next, but hopefully it does. And I'd also like to see Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford, but once again, um, don't hold your breath. There's some political issues there, so a lot of ways you can go there. I'm just impressed with Errol Spence Jr. and what he did tonight. Definitely surpassed what I expected, and good looking young fighter here. Peace.